Will it matter?
I think the projector will get a little brighter. I think the projector is going to get a little brighter as it warms up. But
Yeah, other times we've had the windows were blocked because of the,
yeah,
yeah, quite bright right now.
That's all. She can just minimize that. Or it's going to break one.
Actually, you can break 3.
I think we're fine so far.
Well, try to shut the volumes.
Can you leave these ones on just for a little light?
It's nice mood.
Yeah, it does set the atmosphere nicely.
Good.
Kirk can sing.
Yeah, that's good. That's a little better.
I can sing.
What's that? All right. I ask everyone to stand for pledge of allegiance. Red, you want to lead us?
I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want a roll call, please?
Rick Perry,
Here.
Reg Carter,
Here.
Kurt Burbidge,
Here.
Abby Muserher,
Here,
Tom Cosgrove,
Here.
Thank you. Tonight, we are here to listen to 3 applications. 31 Macomb Street, Historic Site Review. 104 Bridge Street, Historic Site Review. 115 Court Street, Historic Site Review. Just acknowledge that unfortunately our planning assistant is not able to attend tonight. She's attending funeral of a passing family member. And Barb Rester is our senior clerk, and she will be handling the duties of the staff. The first application is 31 Macomb Street. Ask the applicants to step forward, please.
Rick, just to be on the record, I'm going to recuse myself from this one.
Okay. Okay. You. As, right.
Thank you.
Just as a point of order, as an applicant, you have the entitlement of a full board, which is 5 members. We have 2 members that are absent and 1 member that is excused for your hearing. You can either have your application heard by the 4 members here, which you still need 3 positive votes to affirm your request. Or you can wait until next month and you can have a full board.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Can I ask you to state your names for the record and introduce the project, please?
Sure. So my name is David Barber. And well, my wife and I just moved into my parents' house at 31 Macomb Street.
And I'm Eileen Barber Allen, Dave's older sister, and I have title to the property at the moment. Our goal is to put on a side porch on the east side of the house to allow for egress from the 2nd story and from the kitchen. Right now, the 2nd story door is kind of high for getting in and out. and causes many people distress as they come around a corner on the street. And then the kitchen door, well, both these doors are bolted closed. The kitchen door is also does not have access to the outside because it needs stairs and a landing.
We'll just go through the details. We will be having a public hearing. And there is a seeker that we will be voting on, which is the environmental review.
At some point, there are two corrections here that I would like to make in the application. Is this an appropriate
It's
time?
appropriate, yes.
Okay, so in the document to the planning board entitled staff report, under application analysis, section 1, part 3, it says there are side lights along the front door, and that is incorrect. There are no side lights, and there's not gonna, that's the first page of the staff report. It looks like this. Yeah, I don't have the document. Are we all there? It's got a blue banner on it.
Yeah. I'm also going to point out that on our Chris document, it shows a picture of the house as during the application process, and the sidewalks are not there as well.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah,
It wasn't accurate.
I think it'd be appropriate to just strike that from our exhibits.
Mhm.
It doesn't appear that it's entirely accurate, so.
Okay. The other thing I'm concerned about is on the last line of the same page. The building inspector has noted that the upper level cannot be used as a livable space, but he may not have realized that that has always been a livable space since the building was built. So when we moved in there were tenants up there. And after my parents bought the house, that was frequently used as an extra bedroom and sitting area and little kitchen area as well.
Okay. Just as a comment from the board, our jurisdiction ends at the outside of the building line. We are not here. We, to make a determination whether that's habitable space or living space.
I understand.
Through the building permit process, our obligation is to make it clear on the record that through the remainder of the process, you'll have to identify your argument to the building inspector that you want to maintain the habitability of the second floor.
Okay, and that's clear in the documents. I just wanted to be sure that I spoke up when I saw.
It's very important to do that, yes. And if throughout the course of our discussion, you want to interject, just, let us know. Our goal is to be accurate, and make sure that the record is complete. Are you familiar with the MLD comment as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And I mentioned that what we had measured it is not the door is not 3 feet from the power source, it's just a little under 3 feet. We want to put a window in there. If it was acceptable, we'd make that window not open. So just a single window that doesn't open, if that would meet the requirements. We would like a window there because it's facing the lake and it's century light. I was wondering if it would be acceptable to MLD if they were just to move that connection a foot down the ridge line of the roof to make it further away from the door.
So we could, in other words, we could work with MLD and the
Sure.
building inspector's office
that
and
sense.
our contractor to have something that meets their needs, our needs too.
It would certainly be appropriate, we don't have that jurisdiction or authority to grant that. However, I don't believe that MLD provides that service because where the weatherhead, the line connects to the line that comes from the pole, that's typically the point that they respond to.
Okay.
So you may want to have that discussion with them again in the building permit application process.
We really appreciate that comment in here because that's something we would have not known about that commentary. It's absolutely a safety issue.
Absolutely.
I would, my brother probably.
Did you want to add anything more?
No. We have a general idea of what we're looking at for the porch. We want to do what was originally there because it's just such a huge eyesore. Mentioned there. But something neat, that fits the building and it's practical.
That's kind of an off the record question. Did your dad ever conclude the Lozier Motor Works?
Oh.
I was the building inspector when he was.
Oh my gosh, what an awful headache that was. Yes, yeah. I think they just terminated everything and decided not to take down the condominiums. Right, and then they just ended it where it was. Yeah, without fines to either side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lozier Motor Works, they made steam generated vehicles and George had a claim to the vehicles.
Cool.
It's very cool, I wish that we had more discussion on that part of Plattsburgh history.
Oh, I know. I
It
know.
was pretty exciting.
Whenever we take students on field trips and we go by there, I tell them about Lozier Motor. I don't tell them about my dad's conflict. They wanted a Ferris wheel out there. I didn't mention that to them.
Does anyone have any questions?
No.
In terms of the actual construction project, other than the window that's going to be, or you're going to request to have replaced with a stationary, do you have, can you replicate the window by appearance that's there to make on the opposite side, just to maintain consistency with the.
I would think so.
We'll try with the distance. It makes it a little bit hard, but we've got somebody that's a very creative
Yeah.
builder and us also
Our
appreciates.
friend is going to do the work contracts with Lowe's for windows and doors. So he orders doors and windows and have them custom made, so it certainly will be doable.
Yeah, and that'll keep the property, consistent with the.
Yes.
with
You're
what-
talking about having that horizontal, like putting a mullion so it looks like a double hung even. though
Yes.
it's-
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Yes, yeah.
So even
Yeah,
if
we
you
can
can't
easily
open
do
it,
that.
it works.
Yeah. And the other question you're gonna want to follow up with the building inspector is, does that diminish or decrease the amount of natural ventilation to the point that it may or may not be doable?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, we will take that up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely on the door, by having it on the north side of the chimney, we'll have a movable screen. We'll have a storm door
Mhm.
there with a screen and window, because there, a lot of weather hits that side of the house that's very exposed. So I think it's very important to have air coming in there, whether it's a door, preferably with a window as well.
And those windows on the dormers, we were looking at them recently, they're 50 inches high, 36 inches wide. And then they open quite a bit, so there's quite a bit of room.
And I would ask the same with the door. If the replication can, period, theme, I think that would be consistent
Okay.
with the project.
Yeah, I'd like it to look better than the door that is now there, because it's pretty. It's- Yes, I think those are reasonable.
But is it true that putting in a window that will not open is an alternative to the possibility of relocating the electrical service?
So
That would be preferable to relocate electrical. I just don't know the feasibility of practicality.
So there's two possibilities at this point. We just don't know what the final outcome's going to be.
Right.
And I wasn't clear on where the kitchen door is. It's bolted
It's
closed.
around the back of the house.
So if you have this photo,
Yeah.
it's on, so here's a chimney, it's just to the right, it's kind of in shadow. But the corner of the house to the north of the chimney on the first floor is the kitchen. The smaller window on the first floor is the kitchen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so the kitchen door is about, what would that be, about 6 feet? At
At least.
least.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that. It's the second, if you're looking at the image from the true side of the house, it's the second smudge to the right. On the back side.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so. And on these, on the top image, David is the second one. Right.
I can see it.
Yeah, that's it. Launch of model.
Excellent.
Good to move on to the seeker.
The seeker is a short environmental assessment form, if you're not familiar with it, and I will be reading 11 questions to the board members. There's two choices. The first one is no or small impact may occur, and the other choice is moderate to large impact may occur. If there's no response, we'll just assume that it's no or small impact may occur.
Am I to respond or?
No, the board,
responds?
the board.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that caused the establishment of the critical environmental area? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Okay, so motion.
We have a motion to make a declaration on the seeker.
I'll make that motion, Rick. I'll make a motion to approve the CEQA associated with the project on 31 Macomb Street as having no environmental impact.
We have a second.
Is it Abby?
Yep.
Roll call. Rick Perry,
Yes.
Reg Carter,
Yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes.
Tom Cosgrove.
Yes.
At this point, I will open the public hearing.
There are no attendees.
No attendees
No
online.
attendees.
Does anyone have a comment? There being no comments. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on the application? Just add in the formation of a motion, we should include some of the issues that we had talked about during the discussion period. And we could have a motion.
And that criteria specifically would be what, Rick?
The replacement of the window and door would look, what's the term, period significant, with the consistency of the materials that are being removed in the house in general. It is one issue. The comment of the building inspector and of municipal lighting. One of our tasks, according to Dean, is that we start formulating more detailed motions so that the record is clear what our intent is.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
I could take a stab.
Go ahead,
I'm
Tom.
a little new at this, but make a motion to approve the draft resolution 2207B for 31 Macomb Street as it pertains to constructing the two-story deck with the relocation of the second-story window and exit door using period appropriate detailing in line with the remainder of the house. Would also add that any modifications should be approved by the building inspector's department, as well as in line with any recommendations from PMLD so that any safety concerns would be addressed.
Did very well. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. A roll call, please.
Rick Perry,
Yes.
Reg Carter,
Yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes.
Tom Cosgrove.
Yes.
Your application has been approved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it rude if we leave? I don't want to. Something is.
It's just starting.
Thank you so much.
No one ever asks.
They just walk out.
Is that right? All right. good.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just need to recap. Everything complete. Application number 2, 104 Bridge Street. Got it right this time. Historic site review. Request to demolish existing detached garage on a parcel located within the Point Historic District, located at 104 Bridge Street. Zoned R2. Tax map parcel ID number 20720-2-3. I ask the applicants to approach and state your name and give us a description of your request.
I'm Peter Hitchcock. And our request is to demolish the garage. We bought the property a month ago. Couple months ago. We did not know it was an historic district. So we were talking to we had contractors come in and give us an estimate for taking it down. And said, well, maybe you should go over to City Hall and check, how things are there. And we did. That's when we found out. So we were surprised, to say the least. But
But the garage is in really bad shape.
oh yeah,
And we would like to have it demolished. And our intent is not to replace the garage. The intent is to make a green space.
it's a really small lot. It's like 30 feet wide. There's no breeze. There's a lot of rental properties around, a lot of blacktop. So we thought it would enhance things by making it green. There's a tree behind it, a couple of trees behind it that have been, they just let them go and they've been pushing that garage over and over. And
The one is actually grown into a garage.
yeah,
The tree has.
Yes.
yeah. We were actually surprised to find a resident there. There was someone living there before we moved in, but a little groundhog. And so I go to the garage and all the concrete is like pushed up from, I don't know, from the tree root or from the. So in addition to the structure being pushed over and into the neighbor's property, there's a tunnel system, I think. We did have them trapped, removed, so happy ending to that story. But yeah, the property's been let go a long time, so we're just hoping to do that.
One of my initial concerns is that if in the future, the next owner or two owners afterward ever wanted to reconstruct a garage on site, I thought it would be a good idea to, have some type of trail that identifies. You provided us with a very good trail system that would enable someone to reconstruct very similar to the historic property that it is today. We might add a comment was made that we, may want to look at some elevation shots as well. Just-
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Pictures of like each side of the building, just kind of straight on.
Okay. All right.
We know one side's gonna be a challenge.
Yeah, you can't get it from one
Yeah,
side.
yeah, okay.
So yeah, just,
Would you just take pictures, send them to you, send them to Shalice?
Yeah, they would be sent to Shalice.
Okay.
So, you're saying head on, not above, elevation.
Elevation, I was thinking like,
But you're head on.
All four sides, essentially, as
Okay,
much as
you
possible.
probably won't be able to get the full side.
oh, you can watch it. Okay, so just send them along.
That's easy.
And any. Sounds good.
does the board have any?
So I had a couple questions.
Okay.
So one is, I'm curious if, it seems like you'll probably have to go on the neighbor's property to take one side down. I'm just curious if you have permission from the neighbor.
You know, as far as we know, you spoke with the contractor, but he was saying that it would, I don't know. But
Yeah,
he
he
said,
well, the contractor said if you take off that left side. But we're certainly going to talk to our neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
advice. So,
Okay.
Yeah, plus he has to put it's a shared driveway, so you have to put some sort of, so we'll be talking.
Okay.
But yeah, that's great. Thanks for your advice.
Any reason to believe that there's asbestos or lead paint in the structure if it's been painted with lead paint or if there's asbestos in it?
I don't know about that. I don't think so.
Okay.
No reason to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one window, there's no window in it.
Okay.
So. it's open.
Okay.
And I don't know about
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Will the tree come down?
What's that?
Tree's coming down too.
yes.
And then,
The trees is, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, we talked to the MLG, PMLG, MLG.
Yeah.
They came out because there was a cable in the back, a guy line that had broke and no one had ever repaired it. So the power, the utility pole was not on our property, but it's on the one next to us. Guy, Gil Dukin.
Yep.
Yeah, he's our neighbor. Just- But it's leaning, so the pole's leaning over and that, we had that guy fixed. So MLG came out for that, but then they were gonna send someone out for the trees. But I don't know if
Because
it.
the trees it is close to where
Yeah.
the electrical pole is.
Yeah,
So we've contacted them about that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they came out for the guideline, but I don't know if they came out for the trees.
Not yet, no. We have talked to a tree person,
Yeah,
and the tree person said that he will have to work with the demolition persons
Okay.
in order to. not have
Right, because that tree
something,
is, yeah.
and it was a catch-22 because we wanted the tree, he couldn't get in to get the trees because the garage is in the way and our property's so narrow.
Yeah.
So, that's sort of.
They've got it worked out,
Okay.
as far as I know.
Yeah. Okay.
But we'll definitely talk to them.
Good points, Kurt. Do we have any other comments, discussion? Anything more that you'd like to add?
Can I just ask you a question? Because I'm not, I don't know about this designation. What does R2 mean?
R2 is a multifamily residential zoning district.
Okay.
The city is divided into, it's been a while, yeah, about 8 different zoning districts. R2 is a designation that multifamily housing, single-family housing are allowed permissible uses, where if you wanted to, there are some special use permit required uses that would require you to get a special use permit by the zoning board. And then there are some accessory type uses that are also permissible. Typically, that's classified as like a parking area, or not structured, but an area on the lot that's accessory to the principal use. So we have R1, we have RH, then we have the businesses B1, B2, central business district, some industrial. So it's really pretty interesting. So, We have anything more? We do have a public hearing. Public hearing is ordered correctly this time, so. Public hearing. Barb,
There are no attendees.
we have no attendees. Audience. No additional comment from the public. Close the public hearing. And if the board is ready, can we have a seeker discussion in question?
Okay. Okay, number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies? Will the proposed action impact existing public or private wastewater treatment utilities? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? And that's number one.
Have a motion on the seeker.
Make a motion on the seeker 22-08A. Motion is a move a negative declaration on the seeker.
Correct. Do we have a second to the motion?
Seconded.
Tom?
Yeah.
Roll call, Rick Perry,
Yes.
Reg Carter,
Yes.
Kurt Burbidge.
Yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes,
Tom Cosgrove.
Yes.
Also entertain a motion on the application. To adopt the project resolution 22-08B.
So I'll make a motion to approve plan board application 22-08. Bridge Street Historic Site Review, to approve the request to demolish the existing attached garage, detached garage, thank you, at 104 Bridge Street, with the one condition to include elevation photographs of the sides the structure that you're able to get images of. We should say the purpose here is if somebody were to reconstruct the garage and wanted to do it matching the historical features that they would have, that they would have an archive of that.
Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Do we have a roll call, please?
Okay. Rick Perry,
Yes.
Reg Carter,
Yes.
Kurt Burbidge.
Yep.
Abby Musenberg,
Yes.
Tom Cosgrove.
Yes.
Your request has been approved. Thank you for your participation.
Time from this is going to, if the sun's closed and it's okay, we got to talk about contracts and set up, you know, they're like 6 watts in the coming, 1:30.
Barb, do you have an approximate time frame that the approval letters take to generate?
They're required to go out within 1 week. I can talk with Shalice. She's gonna probably be back midday tomorrow. But the requirement is that they be done within a week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
You too.
Yeah.
And the Rangers aren't it. Okay. We have the third application. 01. Historic site review. Request is to demolish and reconstruct an existing attached garage and mudroom with new carriage house style design on the property located within the Court Street Historic District, located at 115 Court Street. Zoning district is RH. Parcel identification number is 07.19-5-18. Ask you to state your name.
Sharon Sandra.
And a description of your request.
My request is to demolish a 1976 attached garage that was approved by the city of Plattsburgh. There is a building permit on file with the city. So it was done through, through planning or whoever the board was at the time. It's in extreme disrepair. What we had intended to do, and I think you're all familiar with my larger package of doing the big house. Our original plan was to re-roof with the same roof angle as the historic structure to give it a little more historic integrity, reuse the walls, the foundation, reuse everything and just re-roof the whole thing and do an exterior sort of a cladding it in more of a Victorian style, carriage house style. So on investigation, the roof is rotted, the sills are rotted, the windows are rotted, the doors are rotted, the concrete is crashed. It's just, it wouldn't even support any kind of new construction. Taking off the roof, the walls wouldn't support a new roof. I have sent a plan. I don't know if it's an actual plan, but there is a diagram and a rendering of my plan to reconstruct a brand new on the same foundation. I believe it's 20. I'm sorry, I just did a 4-day drive from Key West, so I don't have like all my stuff here. We're going to use the same foundation, so exactly the same 24 by 40 and replicate all the siding that's on the main house. I think there was a question when I zoomed in about the cedar frieze that's generally on a Victorian is like in a scallop, whereas this one on further investigation is a beautiful diamond shaped frieze, which we will copy, replicate that frieze around the garage, carriage house doors, triple window over the garage doors to match what's on the front of the house. The siding will be the same with clapboard. And I believe there is a material list there that Paul Golden has put together for me.
We do have additional packets over here that would give you access
Yeah,
to what
thank
they are
you.
looking at. if that
Thanks.
Yeah, this is fine. It's part of a packet. I'll pull it up. Oh, it's part of. Okay, so that is the last one. Yep, there we go. Thank you. Akita.
Can I ask you, can we go back just one step?
Sure.
You had mentioned dimension of 24 by
Is it-
40.
I believe it's 25.
The garage itself says 24 feet by 24 inches, so.
Oh, the
Sure.
plan I sent you, I had mentioned it will be resized.
Okay.
So the exterior will remain the same, but it's gonna be extended an additional 20 feet. It's currently a 24 by 40 garage. But the only plan I could find online that I liked, that I thought would fit in nicely, and reflect the true character of the property. So Paul is Golden, and he's drawing up plans now. Apparently he said he can get them stamped, but I said, well, let's call in an architect if the board wants us to. And we're just going to extend the roof and the back wall another 20 feet, but all the exterior and the front and everything will remain the same.
Okay.
That's sort of for, just for presentation purposes of what I intend.
Will that go from the William Street side back, or will it go from, let's call it the Court Street side?
No, it's from the William Street
Okay.
to the neighbor on Court Street.
Okay.
And actually, I have here, I had a survey done, and this is very interesting. There is a fence, and from what it looks like, can I give this to you?
Oh, I'm still.
I had, Jeff Burns did survey. In looking at the property from William Street, this is a stockade fence that's actually connected to this William, the southeast corner of the garage. I have an additional 10 feet. When you're coming down the street, that fence looks like it's the property line, it's not. I have an additional 10 feet. I've already contacted the owner of this property. They have assumed all this time, possibly, they're pretty new owners also, it's Polish Housing. And the property manager I spoke to said, oh, yeah, well, we always just sort of mowed it and threw our leaves over. But just so you know, I think we're well within the setback line. If you'd like additional copies,
We just share this. See this?
so you'll see that dotted fence line attached to the southeast corner of the garage.
They've got this additional.
Yeah, she's acquired from the fence 10 feet this way.
But you're keeping the same foundation.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely,
it'd
but
be
that was just in
grandfathered.
case you had a setback issue.
Mhm.
I just wanted to clarify that with 10 feet, I'm hoping there's no setback issue.
Mhm.
But if the previous garage was approved on that foundation, would it sort of be logical that the same foundation could be used?
Well, I'll give you my opinion. If the garage were freestanding, it would follow an accessory structure regulation. Once a connection's made from the garage to the house and it's identified as the mudroom, it's now part of the principal structure. It's an attached garage that
Okay.
previously may have been detached. I don't know.
Well, so that mudroom has no foundation.
Okay. It's kind of
And
just-
someone put it in there for the kids to hang up their backpacks and their coats coming in the garage.
So on that basis, I would say as a detached structure, your setback requirement is 5 feet.
Okay.
Whereas a principal structure, you have a requirement of 1025. Being on a corner lot makes it a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
So let's just say that it's legally conforming because it was pre-existing, and that the principal structure is intact along with your request at the
Okay.
time. If the building inspector in his preliminary had no issue with it, it's not an issue with us.
Okay. Yeah, and he hasn't, he's been in touch with us constantly and been by the property quite often. We're very excited. I am anyway. We found last week in the dining room, taking down the plaster and laying 1892 and 1899 pocket door hardware. And I was always looking at the underside of the archways there and in the living room, there are nail holes, and I knew they didn't do that in 1896. So when they took the plaster and lath down, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. So I had them take the molding, and sure enough, the pocket is there. And on the other side is the little latch hole. So they'll be fabricating replica doors too. And it's one big one. It's like a barn door. It's not even like this. It's like one
Very cool.
great, big, huge. So likewise in the living room, there was no pocket door, but it's the same trim that was put up. So I'm wondering if maybe there weren't French doors there or something. So I'm gonna have you all over when it's all done.
Sure, we would accept.
And you're welcome to walk through anytime, really. It's just spectacular what's going on with that house. It's amazing.
Connector.
Okay, so currently, the mudroom lacking a foundation that has that octagonal window. Someone sometime tacked that on to the original back hallway that they attached the garage to. So I think first came the garage attached to the back hallway to the kitchen. Then they got rid of an exterior door that would have had a small staircase for the cook and the maid. And they did a mudroom with just 2 brick walls with no foundation and plywood. So that I would like to get rid of and reinstall the original cook's door with the small like an exterior landing and staircase. And that would have been where the cook and the laundry girl, because they were never allowed past the butler's pantry. They weren't even allowed in the one we're going to. We've already been approved for the big back porch. So this would have been a small exterior door with, for the poor girl who did all that wash. We have the wash tub in the basement too. It's very sad. Really. I'm a historian and this really gets me. I'm sorry. I just get very very emotional about it.
So will you be reconstructing the mudroom connector or? will-
No, not where that is. I'd like to get rid of that. It will create like a notch outside. And instead, where the hallway is, the hallway will go into the garage with a laundry room, powder room.
So just so I understand this, the new structure would be detached essentially.
No, it's still half of the attachment will go. So it's
I see,
now,
okay,
it's a wide attachment.
okay,
So this half is that mudroom
the western
that
half,
has no support whatsoever.
okay,
So that will go, and instead it will be just a doorway from the kitchen to the garage, and then I'm cutting into the garage for the laundry room and powder room, so there will be a notch in the garage.
Right, because the garage is the 40 feet deep. It's
Right,
not
I
wide.
have a
So what do you
double
do with that
garage.
space? Yeah.
okay,
So you're turning that into.
So
part
I'm
of your
going to use that
Okay.
through that hallway and it'll be elevated because the garage is like 4 or 5 steps below.
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. I think I see that now.
Is the intent of the laundry and powder room as an accessory to the main house?
Yes, main house,
The
absolutely.
the question came up, will you intend to occupy or create habitable space in the attic area above the garage?
Not now. My question to you is, since it's an attached garage, if there's an interior staircase that is 36 minimum wide and 6'8" clearance all the way up, is that an approved staircase if interior into the garage?
I'm going to respond in a way that you may or may not agree, but we are not here to interpret the building code nor the zoning ordinance. If we can identify a discrepancy in a testimony or in plan, we may make mention of it, but we are not the approving authority for the question.
If I can legally do it, maybe I would like to rough plumb and electric below to ultimately, but I'm not saying I will. I got a big enough house as it is that frankly, my family's like, what are you gonna do with it? And I said, I'm gonna have a Victorian Christmas. Who doesn't want a Victorian Christmas? But if it happens, I don't see it in my lifetime. I don't see expanding. It's going to be storage for now. I would like to rough plumb and rough electric in the event a future owner would come to you and say, and also make whatever the building department says is a legal staircase, if any. At least make a plan for that. But for the time being, absolutely not. And that can be part of my testimony today that no, I have enough on my hands with the big house.
So to be clear, the question is not before us today. There is a process that the building inspector will have to.
Right. Oh,
be
I
involved.
totally understand.
Yeah.
And Paul and I have talked and I said, I'm a firm believer, like, I think you all know I live in Key West. We have the Historic Architectural Review Committee, which is known as HARC. They won't even we have even colors we can't paint. They are extremely strict. We're in hurricane zones and we still have to have wood windows with mullions. We're not allowed to have impact windows, not allowed to have aluminum windows, not allowed. So I've been there. And so I know what the job you're doing. And which is, it's what you have to do, and this is a beautiful city. So I'm totally with the regulations, so just to let
I
you know.
just wanted to point that we have limitation in. our
Oh,
authority.
absolutely,
And, yeah,
right.
we don't
I understand.
interpret the building code.
Mhm. Yeah, but I'm just trying to do whatever the board feels historically works, and I'm an art historian, and this is my love, so I'll do whatever it is within your parameters.
Personally, I think it would be appropriate to want to see more detail about that mudroom area.
Okay, yeah,
Especially if there's gonna be
Mhm.
any degree of modification.
okay,
What will the, that connector?
look like,
What would it look like?
Okay.
And how does it fit between the garage and the home?
and I agree with you, I want to get an architect to come and design that whole the back, because I'm hoping there will be a new door, laundry room behind that extends into the garage, and then the attached garage. So it's basically a work, like this. Because we're getting rid of that other bedroom.
Find it exciting, that you're introducing it, and I think as a historic site review, we would be missing our responsibility. if we
Absolutely,
did not
I can get that to you.
depart from that.
I can get that to you,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Done a lot of talking. Does anybody else?
Everybody agrees on what you were both just saying, just to, maintain the historical integrity, and all be assured that we're in agreement that that goal is untrue.
And that aligns with what we have asked other applicants in historic districts to do,
Sure.
right? To bring us
Absolutely,
that.
I can get
that
that to you. I'll actually
detail.
call an architect or a draftsperson tomorrow and get working on that and get that to you ASAP.
In that being said, I feel it would be appropriate to delay the vote until
Okay,
we have the documentation
Sure.
that can be evaluated. We can
Not at
ask
all.
questions.
do I have to wait for a complete other meeting in another month?
Unfortunately, we're volunteers, and that's the way the system's set up,
All
that
right.
we meet once a month.
All right,
Yeah.
okay. No, I totally understand.
I'm sorry.
We
that you had to
finished here?
travel.
Does she have to wait to pull the demo permit and do the demolition? Or just, this is for the approval of the new?
That was gonna be my question as well.
Yeah. Before she can reconstruct, she would have to.
Right, so is she waiting on our approval to even be able to start her demolition?
Do you have
Yeah.
any plans to start demolition in the next?
I'm
month?
just waiting for your go-ahead.
Yeah.
We would love to, we want to order a container because the garage currently is storing our tools and workshop, and also all my architectural molding is being bubble wrapped to put into the container, block container, all the mantles, every single piece of wood coming out of the house is being cataloged and wrapped to go back in. So the sooner we can safeguard that in a container, rather than it's just, right now, it's just standing up against the walls. Anything could happen, so I'm anxious to get that protected.
Abby, it's just my opinion, but if she intends to keep any of that portion of the structure, then somehow we're gonna have to identify it if it gets removed. And the new plan isn't consistent with the vision that the historic vision, that might jeopardize some of her ability to reconstruct. That's that's where I would have a little bit of,
Mhm.
as far as the garage goes, I don't see any issue with that.
Oh, you just want the mud, where it's connecting is what your issue is, right?
Primarily, that's.
Okay, I can get that to you real quick.
Okay.
I can get that to you. Because that's a question for me too, because I'm visualizing it in my mind, but how is an engineer or an architect actually going to, solve the problem? Because of the lack of foundation, because of, it's an old brick, two little brick walls coming out. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's- My husband ran out of gas. I'm sorry. Triple
I
H.
don't know if that makes any sense, but her ability to reconstruct may be hindered if we allow the demolition of that mudroom.
Yeah,
area.
that's fine. I'll get that to
I
you
just don't
real
want
quick.
to.
Right.
That's,
I follow.
this is going to be a 2-year project. And I have to be really patient because, there's a lot going on there. The upstairs hall bathroom has a bathtub twice the size of that table. And when they put it in, probably in the 30s, maybe the 20s, they poured 6 inches of concrete on the second floor of that house. So the kitchen ceiling is like going like this. So now that tub, and it's cast iron. We're gonna need you guys. I'll hire you all for the day. We're gonna need lots of guys to get that tub out of there. It's amazing.
So Rick, I'll make a motion to table application. Oh golly, where'd the number go? That's the personal.
2209.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to table application 2209 pending further architectural detail from the applicant on the connecting structure between the garage and the primary, between the accessory structure and the primary structure.
Is that just the exterior? Or do you want floor plan also? Interior floor plan and exterior?
I would, going back to, what you may have heard about the garage, we want to see an elevation that shows the flow between. The
Okay.
bedrooms and,
We can do that. Okay,
yeah.
that's
We're not as concerned about the
interior.
construction of rather the
Just the-
historic significance
Sure.
that it's gonna bring.
But I would,
Go ahead. No.
I would add to, I would add to the detail that we would like, or that I would like to see, I guess, and we're in a motion now, kind of constructing it, so I would add this into the motion. Details on the siding, the wood siding, the gable accents, the trims and the windows, and just how those will either match or be compatible with the architectural features of the primary structure.
I have on the application, and unfortunately, they're not printed, but web links to, there's a company called Colby, which is custom windows, that all the windows will be matched. The windows will be matched. The siding is where it's Paul's. Maybe it didn't get.
No, it's
printed.
this.
Yeah.
From Golden
Yeah.
Construction, but you're talking about like mock-ups, not necessarily links to them.
Correct, because we,
The actual photo.
Well, either what's
Drawn
on,
elevation,
yeah,
drawn elevation of,
Okay.
of the garage, of your concept garage, but on the 24 by 40
Okay,
elevation, what it
Yeah.
actually
That's
looks
you.
like.
Yeah.
That's what you mean? Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
With
And
like the doors, the actual windows, I'm gonna use the doors.
yeah, the architectural
Okay.
accents and things
Sure.
like that. We
Yep.
have spent a lot of time going over those details with other applicants, reconstructing and
totally
building in the
understand.
same,
Mhm.
in the same neighborhood.
Was the, I'm not clear, but was that connector So the garage was built in 76, and when was the historical, with Chris or the,
When was that done?
I mean, I know this garage is not historically significant. I'm curious then when that connection was made.
It says it's 79, it's from 1979 stamps.
Yeah.
and creation of this.
I was looking at the standards for
Yeah.
rehabilitation. I saw you looking at those two,
Yeah.
Kurt, where it, and that the staff report recommends treating this as a rehabilitation.
Yeah,
And it, number 10 says, new additions and adjacent or related new construction will be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired. But I feel like it's already been impaired by the connection
this
of
is-
that.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's it.
That is not,
Silly window.
mhm.
That's-
yeah,
And look underneath, that's the foundation,
Yeah.
plywood,
yeah,
a plywood foundation. That is, it's a tacked on
yeah.
abomination.
Right, it's already been kind of impaired, so then your charge is.
At least
new
they went to
addition,
the
but how
trouble
does it
of
minimize
matching the
impact?
siding.
I'm interested in the second half of 9 also, right?
Yeah.
The new work will be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with historic materials. So I don't need those architectural features to match the primary structure, but they should be compatible and
Exactly.
reflect
Just
the
wanna
time
see how they-
period. Yeah.
See how it connects.
Okay, all right.
Is there any more to the motion you want to add after that, or we good with motion to table?
Yeah, it's a motion to table. I'm okay. As long as the applicant understands kind of what
Oh,
I
yeah,
think you do
yeah,
and what,
okay.
yeah.
And I'm here until the end of September.
Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Rick Perry,
Yes.
Reg Carter.
Yes.
Kurt Burbidge,
Yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes,
Tom Cosgrove.
Yes,
Thank you. I have a question, the previous applicant with the Bridge Street property who's taking down the garage. The original house is, I know, is turn of the century, and that garage is 70s, the same as the garage I'm trying to get rid of. And for historical, you have requested elevations of the existing garage so that if anyone rebuilds a garage, so does that mean that anyone who rebuilds a garage can rebuild a 1976 garage instead of matching?
Depends how it's noted.
Okay,
When the
Is the
garage
garage
is
built
noted.
Yeah, no, the garage was built and I don't think that this was running this interest.
just noted it was not contributing.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's noted, but it's
okay,
not.
So the garage
noted for
was-
Historic.
It was built when it was-
okay, all right, I was just wondering, it's like, so what's the use, you know? What's the use if you're trying to do something historic?
it didn't look
Because
like it was
actually,
76.
Yeah, basically, it's the same as what we're asking you, you know, that
Section
we,
39.
our record is complete. And if somebody were to ever come back and
Yeah,
question,
or if a future owner were to find a future board and none of us were here, would it look as though it was a contributing structure if
I
we
see.
didn't have those elevations and?
Did you get anything from
well,
this?
I'm going to be calling a drafts person or an architect in the morning and try to get all
It
that.
says when
And
the
it's- You
garage
want
was
to
built.
see how that
Just says it was there.
whole each elevation connects to the garage.
yes.
You want to
What
see
the whole
what that
thing's
is,
gonna look like.
what it's gonna look like. Okay. D for done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
for your
thank you.
time. Have
Good
a
luck.
nice evening.
You're on a roll, Rick.
Yeah. How would we do?
But does
Sure.
it say when if there was a permit for that garage?
I know,
If there's a
I thought
permit,
it-
then it would have been in the 70s.
I thought it
Just
did.
go to the last item, I think that was it.
I was under the
Yeah.
impression it was older than the 70s.
I thought somewhere it did say there was a permit, but maybe that was on
That was on this one.
this one.
This one had
Yeah,
a permit
I think-
holding 80.
The garage on Macomb was older than the permit, then the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
76 or the- Yeah, that was my understanding.
It's discussion about the whole registry.
Yeah.
I always thought it was odd that, we pick a period of time and then say, well, what did it look like before then? Or,
Mhm.
at what point does it become a historic document or
Mhm.
a complete registry? I still try to formulate that in my mind.
Yeah.
It's,
It's interesting because that inventory, and I don't know if this is typical or not, identifies the garage as an outbuilding.
Mhm.
So does that say by definition it was detached? And the area that she's talking about, the mudroom, was constructed sometime after that inventory.
It sounds like it.
yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I heard
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I
So
think
it
so.
could have
'Cause-
been in the eighties.
Well, they said that the application, the historic application is from 78. It's approved in January of 79. And the owner tells us that the mudroom was built in 80, I guess, but.
So it all
so,
ties.
Yeah, I guess it would have been one right after the other, which is why it wouldn't have been identified maybe on the registry.
Interesting.
Yeah. We have. See, are these items shared, the bylaws are in effect.
Oh,
I don't know that we have a copy of the finalized bylaws.
but the council passed them.
The council did pass them on May 2nd. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Yeah. I know we went through things relatively quick, and I really like the introduction of the project coming from the applicant rather than us doing the introduction of the project. And I know it leaves a few things out, and I just hope that the record reflects all the documentation that went into, the hearing and what we base our opinions on. So maybe in the future, maybe I'll even remember, I don't know, that we should note that the documents are part of the scheduling that goes into a complete record. I don't know if it's done that way now, but if we change our formatting, maybe it's a good idea to have that part of it, have a line in there that identifies documentation as part of the record.
A line in
In the motion, you're saying?
Line
in the
either in the motion or the resolution, if we're adopting the
So-
resolution that's
Mhm.
prescriptive.
Okay.
I think if the resolution is complete, we don't have to restate every aspect of that resolution.
Right.
I think we only have to state exceptions to the draft when we call for a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Is that a fair summary?
It's a fair summary. I think requesting that the documents that are the basis of part of the basis of our decision be noted in the resolution.
Resolution, I agree.
Yeah,
And then it is complete. to
then
your
it is
point.
complete, yeah. Cool.
Are you talking about in this kind of resolution document?
Yes,
So I would feel more confident taking a stab at making moving things, but is there like an official order or format? Like I'm trying to glean it from listening to others, but is there a resource somewhere I could use as a reference if I wanted to have a kind of a fill in the blank template or format
I would
from my
say
mind?
if you went to the New York Planning Federation
Mhm.
website, they are a very good resource. A lot of good publications came out of there.
Yeah, I did the first intro to being on a planning board
Mhm.
webinar that they had as one of my first education things. But mean, that was just very general, like, what is this job? Planning Federation, you said, Rick?
Very good company.
Yeah. The Plan Federation is good.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Is that, or do we have any more discussion? Sorry, I should have asked that first.
Well, I was something I've just been thinking about, and I plan to do a webinar on Secra, so I better understand that. But I noticed all the questions, I mean, it's all about, and it's nothing in our control, it's like this other thing, but all the questions are about are you doing no harm? But nothing actually is like, are you doing good? Like the Macomb that was taking down that garage, their whole thing was like, look, we're gonna like get rid of pavement and plant a garden and bring trees. And it's like, but like, that's not, there's no official way to like evaluate and kind of give them credit for that. It's like, no, they're not reducing infiltration. No, they're doing the opposite of it. You know, I just think it's interesting that our bar is like, do no harm. It's not holding projects to a bar of like, are you improving the environment? Are you improving ecosystems?
And it's
That
funny
changed that.
because when you go to these planning federation websites, they tell you when you make motions, they should be in the positive, just like you're saying. You should never introduce a motion that's in the negative.
But isn't that something that could be captured in the resolution? Is to identify the contribution that is being made to the community, whether
Sure.
it's environmental or some other aspect.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
we should commend applicants
could
when they're doing
recognize
that,
that
and
and
that
commend
goes
them.
in the minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I mean, even for the last applicant who's, rehabilitating a dilapidated property in the same way.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, air and water improvement, but
Right.
it's improving the quality of that historic district with a property that's,
Yeah,
had been abandoned essentially.
yeah.
So.
That's an exciting project.
Mm-hmm.
I
We walked by that
It's
house today.
incredible.
They were working.
I just wish it were easier for more people to have the means to do this, because there's a very slim percentage of our population that could even
Yes.
get involved in that
Yeah.
project. That's, honestly, it's one of the things about the historic
Yeah.
renovation and preservation that kind of bothers me, that only a select few, I'm not gonna call them select, few, only a few people can really partake in at the level that
Yes.
we're looking at. That's,
Mm-hmm.
But that may prompt other.
yeah, but someone with the median income of Clinton County would never be able to.
No, but I mean, there are people that do have, the resources.
Yeah,
And they may not take it to the level that we're discussing here, but I think hopefully it will prompt, additional investment by people that live in those communities. Because some of those properties are in dire need of just maintenance.
it's interesting because I've recently become involved with opportunity zones, which for investors, you have 1031 exchanges, but an opportunity zone, there are very few, and actually Court Street, Brinkerhoff are part of an opportunity zone. And opportunity zones get funding privately because it takes a capital gain to invest in the opportunity zone. But you can open it up to other investors as well that have capital gains that they want to defer. And if you defer it for the first 5 years, you pay it at the end of 5 years. If you defer it for 10 years, you don't have to pay capital gains. So it's amazing what those zones can do as an alternative to a 1031 like kind of exchange.
So that's a good thing.
It's a
Back-
great-
Back to getting the investors
Yes,
that those areas need.
but we, for the average person to get involved in a lot of projects like this, we need more creativity, like opportunity zones in
Agreed.
these districts, broaden districts and create other ways that people can invest in historic properties.
I think that's kind of a universal.
Do you
truth,
believe in
too.
history?
That's, you know, you need to be involved.
Yeah, I
It's not
mean,
history.
Kurt made a comment a couple meetings back that, you know, he'd love for his kids to, you know, when they're adults, to bring their kids to, that's cool. It really is. Just like to see them get into the renovation side of it. Own one of those houses. They probably will.
I'm just waiting for us to finish paying our student loans. Then I'll have money to
I know,
invest
right?
in a historic property, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I'm still shackled to.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. on August 7th.
Yeah,
They
well, that's
really are.
amazing.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Awesome.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right,
Oh, we go.
have a good evening, everybody.
All right.
Too.